Hey, First Things First listeners, before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com, reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, as well as the televised version of this show, just a click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com. Now let's start the show. First things first, the Eagles quarterback switch Sunday still causing problems inside and outside of the organization. Cam Newton's starting status is still to be determined. And if Derrick Henry doesn't stiff-arm his way to MVP this year, will a running back ever do it? Good morning, everyone. I'm Jenna Wolfe along with Nick Wright, Kevin Wildes, Brandon Marshall. And Brandon, is today the day you convince Nick that Mahomes is not the MVP?
Look, Jenna, if yesterday wasn't the day that I convinced Nick Wright and all the MVP voters who is the MVP, then I don't know what else to do.
Yes.
No, say today's the day.
It's going to happen today, buddy. It's going to happen today.
Today's the day.
We will get to that story, but we got to start this morning with a little fallout that comes with poking the beast. On Sunday, we heard from rookie Chase Young skipping off the field saying, quote, "I want Tom," ahead of Tampa and Washington's wild card showdown Saturday night. Well, somebody told Tom, now it's awkward. His head coach, Bruce Arians, responding with this.
He's a hell of a player. Obviously, making him a captain as a rookie speaks volumes. And both those kids from Ohio State, he and McLaren, are great kids. And but yeah, he's a handful. But so is Sweat, Payne, the rest of those guys. Ryan Kerrigan, I've had a ton of respect for a long time. So yeah, we'll have our hands full. But that it's one of those games where you better watch what you wish for.
Let's go.
Let's go. Hey, Brandon, let's start with you. Good idea or bad idea for the rookie to be calling out the 6-time Super Bowl champ Tom Brady?
Neither. It's a great idea, Jenna. It's not good. It's great. I think this is the next evolution for the NFL. We need to go from highlighting like teams, this team versus that team. We need to do a better job of highlighting individual matchups. I absolutely love this. I think we need more of this. I want to see receivers and cornerbacks go head to head and talk throughout the week. I want to see Chase Young talk about Tom Brady. Chase Young is having a phenomenal year. Now, the stats may not show because he's sitting at 7.5 sacks on the season. But when you look at the other things that he's brought to the table, like forced fumbles. You look at tackle for losses or tackles for no gain. This dude has made an impact on this league right away. Now, I will say this to Chase Young. I agree with Bruce Arians. This is not going to end pretty for you. Do you know who's on the other side? Tom Brady is on a mission. Tom Brady is not just out there like, I just want to win another Super Bowl. It's like Tom Brady is possessed to do it with flair, to do it with style. He is going to win this game and throw for over 320 yards. I promise you this, Chase Young. You will learn from this situation. Keep doing it. Stay strong. But Tom Brady's on a mission, Nick.
Well, that mission, if you're right, would be the destination would be the first time he's played well in the playoffs in a number of performances. Last 3 playoff games, 1 touchdown, 4 picks, passer rating in the 60s. I know Wildes can mutter, "Oh my, Wildes, you should have remembered some of those games." Look it up. I mean, it all happened. But they played for your beloved Patriots. But here is why I love this from Chase Young. As a gambler, I would call this a free roll. This is all reward, no risk. It's not like Tom Brady was at anything other than peak motivation, peak attention, peak, focus on this game. So you're not getting a better version of Tom Brady because of this. But if you're right and you call your shot, Chase Young has the talent of a Hall of Fame caliber player. That's why he was the number 2 overall pick. That's why he's a captain as a rookie. And if Washington wins this game and Chase Young goes on to have a brilliant career, guess what? This moment, this quote is brought up at his Hall of Fame induction. This young man knew he was destined for greatness from the moment he walked into the league. His first playoff game ever, he called out the greatest player of all time. And at that point, you'd have like a 70-year-old Tom Brady, still probably wrinkle-free, sitting on stage, grinning, but not, he was kind of upset because he's like, damn, that was the last playoff game I ever played in, was when Chase Young had 2.5 sacks and ruined my afternoon. Now, I will, Wilds, give one piece of advice to Chase. Be ready for and mentally prepare yourself for the inevitable and guaranteed phantom roughing the passer penalty that is going to be called against you. That's coming. That is Tom Brady. While he is 6 out of 9 for Super Bowls, he is 30 out of 30 in drawing fake roughing the passer penalties in playoff games. There'll be a play where Chase comes in, hands up, he barely grazes the side of his helmet, and Brady looks at the ref and is like, now, throw the flag, and he'll get it. So deal with that, Chase. But this is all reward, no risk. I love it from Chase Young. Love it.
Okay, I thought you were going to go with the prepare yourself not to get your handshake by Tom Brady, because if they do lose, he's storming out, headed to his new house in Miami. Here's the thing, Brandon, about Chase Young, and I do like it. I do love bravado. It's a little Deion Waiters-esque bravado where you're very confident, but the resume's not quite there yet, because Washington played 16 games. They beat 1.5 franchise quarterbacks. They beat Big Ben, and they beat Joe Burrow for a half before he left. Here's the other guys they beat. Carson Wentz on the bench. Dalton, good guy, not a franchise quarterback. He also got hurt, so he got the Nooch man. DiNucci came in. They beat them. Nick Mullins, okay. And they beat Jalen. Hey, did Jalen get a chance to finish the game? Nope. Nick Sudfeld. Okay, great. That's the list of guys who they beat. Here's who Washington lost to. Kyler, Baker, Lamar, Goff, Danny Dimes twice, Matthew Stafford, Russ, and Teddy Bridgewater. So which of those two groups does Tom Brady belong in? The first one with DiNucci or the second one with Russ? The answer is none of them. The third one, the GOAT category, because he's better than everything.
Okay.
He's better than everybody.
All right.
So, and I know, Brandon, they're like 6 in sacks in their passer. They're keeping the quarterbacks under 200 yards. I get it.
Yep.
But that hasn't translated into wins. So I think that Tom Brady, they know the pass rush is coming. If Bruce Arians can't figure this out in a way to protect Tom Brady, then the whole season's a wash. But I still think, I'm agreeing with you, I think Tom Brady's going to be successful.
Look, really quick on this, because Nick's been talking about this since like week 10. He's been talking about this matchup. He's been talking about if this is the matchup that Tom Brady's going down because he has to deal with a pass rush. But they already figured it out, Wilds. This is a team that's only allowed Tom Brady to be sacked 22 times. This is a team that's given up the 4th fewest sacks on the season. So when you talk about figuring it out, they already did. They know exactly what they need to do to protect Tom Brady. Tom Brady knows he needs to get the ball out, and Tom Brady knows that this may be a game where he get hit a little bit more. And Tom Brady's still going to throw for over 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, and win the game, and potentially be the 2005 Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right, I love the specificity of that prediction. That is right up my alley. I'll take the under on all those numbers. 320 under, 3 touchdowns under. But Wilds, something interesting occurred to me. No, I think Washington's going to win. We're not going to do our full picks yet, but I'll give you this one right now. I think the upset of the weekend happens in Washington. They're now, by the way, the line keeps getting bigger. It opened at 7. It's now 8.5 for the Tampa Gronkaneers. Everyone's betting on them except for your old buddy Nick Wright. But Wilds, while you were listing those quarterbacks, because I didn't know you were going to say that, something occurred to me. So who's beaten Washington? Kyler, Russ, Lamar, Baker. What do all those quarterbacks have in common? They can move
around. They move around.
What can Tom Brady not do? Move.
And so I do think,
in a pocket? A little bit, little crab steps in the pocket. But what I will say is Washington has built their team for this moment. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. Allen, Payne, Sweat, Young. 4 defensive linemen with 4 consecutive first-round picks with an older first-round pick, Ryan Kerrigan, still playing outside linebacker. If they have one thing they want to be great at, Jenna, it's harassing the opposing quarterback. And so Chase Young starting it with some cyberbullying, I'm all for.
Whoa.
So I think it's a great job by him, and I think Washington's prepared really well.
Well, Chase Young is only there because of what the Eagles did or didn't do on Sunday. Why are we still talking about this Philadelphia team tanking, non-tanking against Washington? When you hear what another head coach had to say, you will quickly understand. First things first, more next.
What's up, First Thing First listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to First Things First.
Been a rough week for the New York Giants. Not only did they miss out on the playoffs, but think about the way it happened. The Eagles benching Jalen Hurts for Nate Sudfeld, only down 3 versus Washington with the NFC East title hanging in the balance. Giants head coach Joe Judge was asked about it yesterday. He paused, took a swig of truth serum, and then said this.
Obviously, players have asked me throughout the day, and I just can't express that. I think one thing to keep in mind with this season is we had a lot of people opt in to this season. Okay? We had a lot of people opt in. All right? Coaches, players. That includes family members as well. All right? So to look at a group of grown men who I asked to give me effort on a day in, day out basis and to empty the tank, and then I can look them in the eye and assure them that I'm always going to do everything I can to put them at a competitive advantage and play them in a position of strength. To me, you don't ever want to disrespect those players and their effort and disrespect the game. The sacrifices that they made to come into work every day and test before coming in, to sit in meetings spaced out, to wear masks, to have shields over those masks, to go through extensive protocols, to travel in unconventional ways, to get text messages at 6:30 in the morning telling practice is going to be canceled. We have to do a virtual day. Okay, to tell them, please don't have your family over for Thanksgiving. Please avoid Christmas gatherings. We know it's your wife's birthday. Let's make sure we put that one off to the off season. There's a number of sacrifices been made by all the players and coaches in this league. There's a number of sacrifices that come along as well with the family members of the people connected to them. To disrespect the effort that everyone put forward to make this season a success for the National Football League, to disrespect the game by going out there and not competing for 60 minutes and doing everything you can to help those players win, we will never do that as long as I'm the head coach of the New York Giants.
Let's go.
All right, Nick, what was your reaction to Joe Judge's comments?
Let's go.
That was as outrageous of a press conference performance by a head coach as I can ever remember. The national pity party that is being thrown for the downright terrible New York Giants has to end. You know how the New York Giants could have made the playoffs? Not be awful. There's 8 divisions in the NFL. 5 of them, the Giants would have finished 4th or worse. They won 6 games this year. 5 of those 6 wins came against Kyle Allen, twice Brandon Allen, Carson Wentz, and Andy Dalton. The idea that they have somehow been wronged because Daniel Jones tripped on his own feet 2 months ago, cost him a win, or otherwise we wouldn't be having this stupid conversation. It's just outrageous. But I would have been fine letting all that go if he would have just said our guys were disappointed, our guys were bummed, whatever it is. But for Joe Judge to pretend like the COVID protocols and coronavirus was affecting one team in this league, his team, and not all 32, is insulting and ridiculous. Like, hey, guess what, Joe Judge? Everything you described there, every single team went through. Everything you described there has been what the NFL went through all year long in all 32 locker rooms. So the idea that there's some special dispensation, yeah, sure, not just the NFL. Brandon's absolutely right. All of us, all of our lives, we're all putting off birthday parties. We're all putting off Christmas. And the idea that Doug Pederson and the Eagles, when they're deciding what they think right or wrong is best for the future of their team, they should have been like, well, I'm not sure Daniel Jones got to do all of the birthday celebrating he wanted to this year. Let's help him out. It's an absurdity. It's stupid and wrong. And I know that's your guy, Wilds, but it was a ridiculous, histrionic performance of a coach of a bad team.
All right. I have a few things. One, to the Daniel Jones birthday celebration, they actually did help him out. So you're wrong on that point, because by losing the game, the Giants get to go home and he gets to have his birthday celebration. So that's point number one where you're incorrect, Nick. Point number two, this is who Joe Judge is. And when you know, would be weird, and I would agree with you that it felt performative if he wasn't doing this all year long. If he wasn't saying, not referring to guys by their last names because it's a unified team. If he wasn't taping tennis balls onto guys' hands or sliding in the mud or making people do laps. We know that this guy seems like a caricature, but he's actually the character. He's actually this football coach from a movie who's sitting there and giving you the straight 100. So the question I have for you is this: what do you want the guy to say, knowing that that's who he really is? He's not being inauthentic. You want to say, oh, well, that's the way it goes.
It's so easy.
I don't know.
That is such an easy question. Here's what you say. Here's what you say, and I'll throw it to you, Brandon. Coach, I'm sure you guys were watching the Eagles game. I'm sure you had some disappointed players. What did you say to your guys? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Here's what I told them, and it reinforces what I've been telling them all year. In the National Football League, you never want to leave your fate in the hands of anyone but yourself and your 52 brothers in this locker room. And this offseason, when everyone is considering, should I sleep in? Should I do this extra rep? Should I run this extra mile? I want them all to think about the 3-point loss in week 4, the 2-point loss midway through the season, and say, could I have made one extra play? Because if we win one extra game, we're division champions and we're hosting a playoff game. We didn't, and that's why we're not there. It's not because of anything that happened outside of this locker room, but I appreciate that question, and I hope you have a wonderful new year. That's what Joe Judge should have said, Brandon, but he chose not to.
Jenna, we might as well move on to the next topic, because I don't know what to add here. Nick is absolutely right. Like, if it means this much to you, then win more than 6 games. You play in a sport where you control your own destiny. You pick your coaches, you draft your players, you pick your players in free agency. You have guys walking the street that you're saying, hey, this could be a dude that we can bring in. You control your own destiny. So I get the whole protect the integrity and protect the shield 100%. But at the end of the day, you control your own destiny. Right? Like, so don't worry about the Eagles. Don't worry about any other team. Focus on what you can control. And that's not just in sports. That's just in life. So you're so upset about what the Eagles did. You need to be upset about everything that Nick just said. Like, what about that player giving up that bomb on Monday Night Football? What about that guy missing the tackle? Let's talk about those moments and less about what the Eagles and what they're doing in their organization. Because the reality, if you really want to do that, you want to point fingers, then let's go back to 2017 when I was playing for the New York Giants and we benched Eli Manning for Geno Smith. The same exact thing happened. And it's not the scenario was a little different, but I say that to say this. They were thinking about what does the Giants look like next year and the years after that. So they thought that they liked Geno Smith. He was doing some amazing things in practice. I was there. So they wanted to see who they got and if this kid can potentially compete with the next quarterback they were bringing in, or if they were going to pay him $4 or $5 million to be the backup. So Giants, control what you can control.
And don't wear half and half jerseys. Let's move on. Time for Nick's NBA medals. Here's how it works. Nick is going to give out NBA medals. Bronze, silver, and gold. Steph Curry took the gold for the weekend. How did last night play out? Nick Wright.
All right, based on Monday night's action, by the way, Malcolm Brogdon, Julius Randle, apologies. You could have made the medal stand last night. Too many good performances. Bronze medalist, Jason Tatum. Fresh off this weekend where he hit a game winner, his first game winner of the year where he actually aimed correctly and made it. He answers that with a 40-point performance. Jason Tatum, 40 ball, he gets the bronze. Who gets the silver?
Move him up a tier.
Giannis, don't look now, but the two-time defending MVP is red hot. 43-9 last night, averaging 33-12 over his last 3 games. Giannis gets the silver medalist and the gold medalist. Despite Wild's mocking his air ball, oh, my large, adult, slightly overweight Slovenian son, Luka, not in shape, yet still dropping 33, 16, 11 on people's heads, getting big wins over the Rockets. Luka is your gold medalist. Those are your 3 best performers of the night, Wilds.
Okay.
Can't be body shaming.
Do you feel like this was a defining win for the Mavs? Or in a defining loss for the Rockets, that it's time to Rockets and Mavs not on the same level, or to say, hey, it's regular season, we're still figuring it out?
No, I think it's too early. And Brandon, I think that for the Mavs, it was a more important game. Luka hadn't been playing great until this past couple. He just missed a game. They lost. Yep. And the Mavs are trying to be a top 3 seed in the West. They need to pile up wins, and Luka needs to play like an MVP. So I think it's more for the Mavs. I think the Rockets are fine for now.
All right, we got to take a turn now back to the NFL. There are 6 head coaching jobs open right now. Which is the best one? And will Trevor Lawrence be a factor when answering that question? We will discuss next. First things first.
That's interesting.
Hey, First Things First listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to First Things First.
Time now for a little draw on a blank. We start in Philly, where the Carson Wentz saga is getting juicier. The now former starter declined to speak to the media Monday as the Eagles cleaned out their lockers. GM Howie Roseman said trading Wentz is, quote, not anything we are talking about right now. Brandon, Carson Wentz declining to speak on Monday is blank.
Woo! Heating up here. Nostalgic. This is reminiscent of my days in Chicago. The last 6 games of the season, I knew it was over. Jay Cutler and I, we weren't talking. He was throwing me balls, but there was no highs, there was no byes, there was no hellos, there was none of that. I knew it was over. So after that last game, I went in there, took my trash bag, threw everything in there, and ran out the locker room before the media got there. So this is nostalgic.
All right, so I'm going to say it's on brand, and now Brandon has put me in a tough spot because it's tough for me to kill Carson Wentz here because Brandon's like, hey, I did the same exact thing, but I'm going to kill him anyway because Brandon was not the highest paid player on the team, starting quarterback, who's been being a petulant, leaking to the media child for the better part of a month. Listen, Carson, you fairly or unfairly, and I believe fairly, have developed a reputation not being a great locker room guy, not a great leader, not a great team guy. And whether he recognized it or not, his final audition to lead another team would have been this press conference. And he squandered that. So if he doesn't want to be in Philly backing up Jalen Hurts, if he wants to be somewhere like Indy, where he has a chance to actually be the starter next year, he should have taken this opportunity to kind of reframe the conversation, but he chose not to, which, while unfortunately is somewhat on brand for how he's handled himself the last few years.
Okay, or you know what he could have done? Asked to suit up and play if Jalen Hurts struggled and he needed a spark to win the game. Be like, you know what? What about old Carson Wentz? I'm the starting quarterback. No, I'll sit down. Here's the thing why he should have talked to the media. As Nick likes to say, free roll. Free roll. No one's going to ask about your cap hit or your $35 million or the fact that you led the league in giveaways even though they haven't played for the last month. They would have been like, hey, what's up with Sudfeld? Can you believe Pederson? You wouldn't even have to talk about it. Like, you could have had a free chance to throw Pederson under the bus. Bad decision. Bad call.
Great point.
On to Cam Newton now, who was playing on a one-year deal in New England this past season. Safe to say things didn't exactly go as planned. That is, unless his plan was to throw only 8 touchdowns all season. Then it was a great plan. Cam was asked, love you, Wilds. Cam was asked about his future. He said this, it's too early to tell if he'd accept a backup job. Brandon, Cam Newton's comments are blank.
Jenna, I absolutely love this segment. It's an opportunity for me to learn new words and teach you guys new words. I absolutely love this. This is dawdling. And the crazy thing about this word is it means to move slow, to slow up the process. So, Brandon, why did you go there? Why did you use that word? Because Cam Newton should have made this decision, or he should have embraced the thought of him being a backup 4 or 5 weeks ago. That's the thing you fight when you play bad or your team is not winning and you know there's an opportunity for you to be cut or not brought back. You start thinking about, what does the future look like? You're sitting on the bench. I threw a pick. I dropped the ball. I missed the tackle. And you're like, oh my goodness, I got to think about my future. So Cam Newton, he needs to embrace this if he wants to stay in the NFL. I don't think there's any team out there, Nick, that's saying, hey, Cam, you're going to be the #1 guy. I think there are a couple teams out there that say, look, we'll bring you in as a backup and give you an opportunity to compete, but not to be the #1 guy off top.
All right, first of all, Brandon, great word. We now, if Jenna and Wilds can just step it up, we will without question have the best vocabulary of any morning sports television show. So that's on you guys now.
Let's go.
My answer is Cam Newton's comments are spot on. Now, the emotional part of me says I should advocate that he should go back up Mahomes. Be the Chiefs' goal line back, get a Super Bowl, the Chiefs win 3 in a row, would be great. But the reason he shouldn't accept a backup quarterback job, Wilds, and you can put Wilds on the screen if you can, because I'd love to see his reaction here.
Hello.
Because there is a better job he should be gunning for. And that job is Monday Night Football analyst. Everyone wants to give it to old Bolo Ty, Golly G Willikers, Phillip Rivers. No. Guess what? Here's a hot take. Phillip Rivers. I don't even know if he wants to do it. And Phillip Rivers will just be being what Tony Romo and Troy Aikman already are. Super brilliant quarterback analysts. Cam would bring a flair. Cam would bring an excitement.
Let's go.
Cam would be unlike any other color commentator we've had. And I'll take it a step further. It's the best way for him to become a starting quarterback again. He would have 17 weeks a year to show the entire NFL how much he knows about football, how much he understands the game. And best I can tell, it pays a hell of a lot better than backup quarterback these days. So forget backup quarterback. Go be Monday Night Football analyst, Cam Newton.
I love it.
Throw your beautiful hat in the ring. Do that.
Okay.
I love it.
That is a wonderful take. I 100% support that. No, I'm going to 95% support that. I'm going to 5% support that he stays in New England. Because I don't think there's any question. Well, I don't think there's any question of like it's a Tony Romo thing. Like, wow, look, he can see the plays coming. I think it's just a physical thing, Nick. And he had plenty of time to rest. And to give him another year to rest, is his arm going to get any better? Because here's was a quote that was kind of scary. This is what he said on the radio. Out of 32 guys, I am not the 32nd position rank in that position. And then I'm like, all right, now I got to do the research. He's 29th in on-target passes. He was 34th in passing TDs. He was 35th in yards per game. He was 3rd in batted balls, even though he threw the ball like 200 times less than Kyler, which makes me think it's not about learning the playbook. It's just that his arm is not what it used to be. And I don't know amount of rest this is
okay, but here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Remember when the reports were Kobe went over to Germany and got like that PRP stuff?
Yes.
Maybe Cam needs a year outside of any NFL testing regiment where he can try some stuff out. See a little injection here, procedure here.
I get the treatment. I get that treatment.
Yeah, go to House of Athlete. Exactly. You don't even have to worry about the NFL testers.
But Brandon's not in the NFL any longer.
Yeah.
Let's finish with some head coach openings. Anthony Lynn and the Chargers parted ways yesterday, making it now 6 teams looking for a head coach. That's if you count the Jets as a real NFL team. That's 6. So, Brandon, the best head coaching vacancy in the NFL is blank.
Boom. J-E-T-S.
Oh, no.
Jets. Yes, and here's my argument. Here's my argument. Throw up the graph really quick. We talk about draft capital. We got 2 first-rounders. We got 1 second-round pick. We got 2 third-round draft picks. We also got the second most cap space in the NFL. Now, we're still trying to figure out, like, exactly where that's going to lie. Could be, a couple more million, maybe 1 or 2 less. But then you also got to look at how we're set up. We're going to have 2 quarterbacks. You got Sam Darnold, who just need a little coaching, and then you're going to have Justin Fields. So we'll have 2 quarterbacks. I say we go get Pep Hamilton, because you got to think about, well, man, who just had the most prolific rookie season ever at the quarterback position? It was Justin Herbert. Who's his quarterback coach? Pep Hamilton. Where did Pep Hamilton come from before that? The Colts. And who did he lead to the AFC Championship? The Colts and Andrew Luck. Pep Hamilton is our guy. Draft Justin Fields and also spend the money wisely.
So I love this question because you can argue for 5 of the 6 teams as the best. The worst is obviously the Lions. Like the Lions, no one's going to argue for the Lions because they're Lions and it's Detroit, all that. Every other one of those teams has an argument. I was really conflicted because Herbert's excellent, but you got to compete with Mahomes in that division. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a star, but it's Jacksonville. So I'm going with the Texans. Winnable division. Free agent destination because Houston's a good city and no state taxes. Deshaun Watson locked in, and the Bill O'Brien trading away of draft picks, that ends this coming draft. You actually own all your picks moving forward after that. You have Deshaun locked in, and it's a clean slate for the GM as well. I think that's where Eric Bieniemy should go. Bring John Dorsey with him. That's my answer. The Texans.
Oh, Nick.
Okay, if the Chargers need to compete with the Chiefs, who could beat the Chiefs? Who knows all of Mahomes' tricks and who once played for the Chargers? Oh, Eric Bieniemy and Justin Herbert. What a combo! And they keep their winning streak going against the Chiefs. Bieniemy to the Chargers, Katanic. That's what I'm taking.
Winning streak? Oh, because they beat him? Oh, you're a bad guy. Winning streak. Go ahead, Jenna.
Wait for it. We're talking playoffs now, zooming all the way in on one very specific matchup. Tom Brady and Chase Young. Storylines aplenty. It's next. It's First Things First. Back here talking the decision heard around the league. Doug Pederson pulling Jalen Hurts Sunday versus Washington. In Eagles game, they were only trailing by 3. Well, according to a report yesterday, many Eagles were, quote, shocked and outraged. And 2 Eagles players had to be held back from approaching Pederson in the locker room afterwards. Also, the report went on to say Jalen Hurts was distraught as well over the decision to be pulled for Nate Sudfeld. Former Eagle Brian Westbrook back with us now. Brian, a lot going on here. You share the players' outrage over this decision Sunday?
You know, Jenna, I do. And I was embarrassed and I was disappointed at Doug Pederson's decision, because I know it goes into yourself every single week to just play in the game. I also understand how hard it is to play 16 weeks out there on the football field, and the time you get to week 17 just to be healthy enough to play. And I saw guys like Jason Kelce, a big old arm brace on his arm, just still out there competing every single play. I felt like he deserved better. I saw guys like Zach Ertz after the game. It was 1 a.m. Zach Ertz was still on the field, full uniform on. He may have played his last game as a Philadelphia Eagle after a great career there in Philadelphia, and he deserved better. But I also go back to the comments that Jason Kelce made about a month ago. He said it's not about draft position. It's not about seeing the young guys play. It's about winning. That's the only thing that this game is all about. That's why you put all the work in on Sundays and throughout the week to make sure that you can win a football game. It's not about seeing other players. It's about winning the football game. And, you know, it's embarrassing because I thought the culture in Philadelphia was much better than that. And when I talk about culture, I'll give this comparison. Last season, the Miami Dolphins, week 2, played the New England Patriots, lost by 43 zip, got embarrassed, right? Come week 17, Patriots come down to Miami, I believe, and now they got a chance to get back. Brian Flores, he's preaching culture. He's preaching character. He's trying to build an organization. He's trying to hold guys accountable. And they could have easily lost and try to get better draft position. But they went out and they fought because the culture said so. They went out and they did their thing and won a football game because that's what it was all about. That's the type of culture that I think should be in Philadelphia. I was disappointed because this went against the culture that I feel Philadelphia deserves and has had in years previous.
Yeah, B, you know, I agree with you and I don't. And it may just be just a difference in perspective or a difference in, like, what hat do we have on now? As a player, you're 100% right. We are trained to win the day. We don't care about draft picks because that draft pick could be a bust, or that draft pick may need 2-3 years to develop. And by the time he developed, I may be traded. I could be cut on my way to the next team. So as a player, 100% understand it. But B, if you can put on your general manager hat, your owner hat, I feel like it's a delicate balance of, you know, building the team for today and also building the team for the future. So if his reasoning behind this, and only he knows, if his reasoning behind this was, I just need to see Nate Sudfeld a little bit more real-time reps to determine if he's going to be on our team next year, then I understand it. When I think about what coaches, his comments were, from the Jets organization, the Giants organization, excuse me, to me it's kind of disturbing because I'm like, if it means that much to you, then win more than 6 games. Like, you pick your coaches, you pick your players, you control your own destiny in the National Football League. So why are you so upset about what another team has done? Like, you need to control your own destiny. So I feel like we need to put on different hats when we're having different discussions, because it's a difference between the players' approach to the game and then also general managers and head coach and ownership.
No, I agree with you as far as the Giants and Joe Judge go. They have to just win more games. That's your responsibility. I agree with you there. But the general manager and the coaches, yeah, you may think about the future draft picks, but you have to worry about your locker room. You have to worry about your culture in that locker room. And I can never walk into a locker room and look my guys in the face. If I'm a general manager or a coach and say, you know what? We went out there and play, I expect the hardest from you, but we put in our third-string quarterback just to give him some reps. To me, that's not the type of culture that I want on my football team. And Nick, when I think about it, if you want to get Nate Sudfeld some reps, start him. Then that gives a signal that you're not trying to win the game. You're actually 100% going for the draft pick. You start Nate Sudfeld. You take Jason Kelce out. We don't want to get you hurt. Zach Ertz, sorry, you already played your last game. Vets, we're not trying to win this game. Our culture has changed. To me, that's not exactly what Doug Pederson is all about. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, so I want to talk about Jason Kelce for a second here, because what's the Cam Newton line? I don't point fingers, I point thumbs. Jason Kelce, my guy. I like you, love your family. And speaking of your family, by the way, I imagine it's going to be a very awkward family reunion once his brother, the better looking, more talented of the Kelce brothers, finishes his season in about 5 weeks. When Jason says to him, "Hey, Travis, you disrespected the integrity of the game in week 17 when you didn't play. Oh, you're not trying to win every week, buddy." But set that aside. I got this for Jason Kelce. He's got a lot of comments, so I got one for him too. It was a 3-point game. Alex Smith had just thrown an interception. Nate Sudfeld had just completed a pass. It was 2nd and 5. You were 20 yards out of field goal range. And Jason Kelce, you ground balled that snap that ended up into a Chase Young fumble recovery that ended up essentially ending the game. Maybe do your job a little bit better, because you are a starter. Okay. And you do have a third-string quarterback out there. And he's worried about all these monsters on the defensive line coming after him. He's pointing out the coverages and where the blitz pickup is. And Kelce, maybe you could have done your job a touch better, and maybe the storyline is Nate Sudfeld leads a touchdown drive. I don't know. I'm just saying that's possible. But if the argument is that, why is it not fair, Wilds? Tell me. Tell me. Whose fault is that fumble? Just tell me.
I agree that it's Kelce's fault, but if we're going to have an argument about human fallibility, I think you win. Like, people make mistakes. But there's a difference between making a mistake and strategically making the wrong decision.
Yes, I agree with you there, but I guess the point that I'm making is this whole, if we want to go super meta, this whole conversation is about the fallibility of Nate Sudfeld. The whole conversation, when everyone's done talking, the reason this is a topic is because everyone has decided Nate Sudfeld is comically bad. That he is the one active quarterback in the league that if you put in a football game down 3 points, you're forfeiting. That is a wild indictment of Sudfeld. Maybe it's true. But the idea that they gave up all and every chance to win because they put him in a game they were down 3 points, that's the argument everyone is making. Now, what I will say, Wilds, is this. I am more keen to listen to the argument from the Eagles are upset perspective than the lack of integrity of the game hurt the Giants perspective. If you want to say Jalen should have gotten those reps because that's what's better for the Eagles long term, I'll listen to that line of reasoning. But where that to me somewhat falls apart is Al and Chris knew Sudfeld might play. So unless Doug Pederson told Al and Chris and no one else, then my question would be, were these guys just mad all week? Were they preemptively angry all week that, oh man, you're going to let this guy get reps? Or was this always part of the plan and people are now just piling on? Because according to Al and Chris, this was part of the plan.
Yeah, really quickly, Jenna, Nick, but that's where I think Brian is right, is on the player side. If you make this decision on Monday, Tuesday, and you let the team know, or if you did it in the game, the outcome's going to be the same. Because it's true. You got Kelce with, a whole arm wrap on his arm just to play a game. You got guys, and probably 95% of these guys, fighting through something. So when you go out there and these guys are giving everything and you're not giving everything for that game in that moment, it's going to be a problem. I'm shocked, Jenna, that there wasn't more outbursts on the sideline in real time. But the Eagles, it was a tough decision, but I think it was the right decision if their motives were right.
All right, so just to recap, Nate Sudfeld not in the MVP conversation. Derrick Henry, very much a part of the MVP conversation. We'll break down King's Henry chances next. First things first.
He can get most improved next year.
2 title matches are on tap as Big E defends his Intercontinental title, and the Street Profits battle Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. An all-new Friday Night SmackDown, live at 8 Eastern on Fox.
Back here, first things first, we're talking about the NFL MVP. Fox Bet Sportsbook has Aaron Rodgers as a massive favorite at minus 2,000. Josh Allen sneaking up into that second spot, as Wilds would say to Nick Blammo, followed by Pat Mahomes and Derrick Henry. All right, Brian Westbrook back with us. Brian, you were on Rodgers as the MVP weeks before any of us saw it, but Brandon made a great case yesterday for Derrick Henry. So, Brandon, can you convince former running back Brian Westbrook that current running back Derrick Henry should win MVP this year?
Yeah, I think I can, Jenna. Brian, I know you were early on the Aaron Rodgers MVP train. You know, we had a conversation months ago, and Nick and I laughed at you. Jenna asked us the question, guys, who's the MVP right now? And we talked about Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, and then it got to you, and you said, you know what, it's Aaron Rodgers, and this is why. And we laughed. We totally laughed in your face. So I get it. But B, you're a running back. If Derrick Henry doesn't win MVP this year, then we need to change this title, the title of this of this award. It needs to become the quarterback award, because this is a guy that's in a fraternity of two when it comes to what he did this year. 2,000 rushing yards and 15+ rushing touchdowns. That's it. You have Terrell Davis, who also won the MVP award, and that's it. When you look at the quarterback position, we've seen this before. We've seen this several times. So, B, you need to use your platform, which is an amazing platform. You're well respected, not only at the player level, but you're respected in the media. You're respected by owners. Yep. You're respected by general managers. This is a bigger conversation. You have a responsibility to the running back fraternity to talk about the significance of what this kid did, B. So I'm going to pass it to you really quickly. But think about the injury rate in the NFL, B. Like, you have to stand up, and you have to stand up right now. Derrick Henry is the clear-cut MVP. It shouldn't be a discussion.
Come on, Brian.
What can you say to that,
I have to be honest with you. I love everything that you said, but here's the problem. Because you and Nick did what you did to me months ago, I can't side with you now. You guys laughed in my face. You made fun of me. You said bad things about me. You're in production meetings calling me bad names, things like that. I can't side with you now. But I will say this. You're absolutely right about this award. And you're absolutely right about Derrick Henry. There's only been 3 running backs in the last 20 years that have won the MVP award. Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Adrian Peterson. And there certainly have been other guys that deserve consideration. But you're right, and I can't lie about this. All the other guys that have won the 17 times, they've been all quarterbacks. That's because the league is meant for the quarterback to be successful. They make the most money. They're going to get the most attention. They're going to get the most blame and the most credit for when you win. That's just the name of the game. And I don't think that we're in a position to blame Aaron Rodgers because of the system. We can't blame Aaron Rodgers because of the system. The system says the best quarterback, if he has an amazing year, he's going to be the MVP, despite a running back like Derrick Henry having a season that deserves consideration for an MVP. It's the system. It's not Aaron Rodgers. It's just the system.
Okay, I want to address the Derrick Henry thing in just a moment. But I just want the audience to marinate in the moment we had at the very beginning of this segment, where we now are in a world where, according to the gamblers, there is not one quarterback that had a better season than Patrick Mahomes. There's 2, and one of them is Josh Allen. And I want everyone to understand, and I think deep down they know it, how stupid this is going to look in 5 weeks when Patrick Mahomes has the Super Bowl MVP trophy in one hand, the Lombardi trophy in the other, and he's doing the LeBron James look around, how do you like me now? And people are going to try to memory hole the whole, you know what? I think Josh Allen might be the best quarterback in the AFC. Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes just sitting there saying, oh, my bad, we clinched the 1 seed a week before Christmas, so I stopped having to try or even play. So there's that. But to Brandon's point, which is bigger than the Rodgers, Mahomes, Allen discussion, I think it is a great one. And it is a corollary to this. Wilds, do you know what the most prestigious award the NFL gives out is? The hardest to win award the NFL gives out for on the field. I'm not talking about Walter Payton, but for on the field performance. Do you know what it is?
Yes, I do, because you mentioned it yesterday, Defensive Player of the Year.
It's Defensive Player of the Year. That's correct. And here's why. You have 11 starters on 32 teams. So you've got, what is that? 352 guys, theoretically, who could win that award. Because we've seen D tackle win it, that's Aaron Donald. Defensive end, J.J. Watt. Outside linebacker, Khalil Mack. Inside linebacker, Brian Urlacher. Safety, Charles Woodson. Corner, and Troy Polamalu. Corner last year, Stephon Gilmore. Every single position is eligible for that award. To Brandon's point, Wilds, if you want to win the MVP, you're competing, really, with at most 40 guys. 32 starting quarterbacks, a handful of running backs. That's it. And really, these days, just quarterbacks. The NFL, the voters, the 50 MVP voters, have made the MVP award Quarterback of the Year. Just like in the NBA, the MVP voters have made the MVP award best player other than LeBron James, who's obviously the MVP. So it's like we need to either reframe or redo these awards, Wilds, because it shouldn't. I think Brandon makes a good point that if Derrick Henry is 4th in the betting odds, meaning he has no chance, then he had no chance coming into the year. He was ineligible for it going into the year because he could not have done more.
Yeah. Well, Brian, I want to take it to extremes just to make a point. He was 79 yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's record. I know you're locked into your take integrity or Aaron Rodgers. If he broke Eric Dickerson's record, would you give him the award? And if the answer is no, what if he smashed Eric Dickerson's record? What if he went, 200 yards over Eric Dickerson's record? Then would you give him an award? So that's 2 questions, and I'll put a little cherry on top here. What could he have done where you said, you know what, this is his, I know Aaron Rodgers did a great job, but this is his award?
There's nothing that he could have done to win this award. Again, the system is already set up that the best quarterback is more than likely going to win this award. I do want to point out this, and this is credit to Derrick Henry. The way that he runs for 16 weeks is hard-nosed, smash-mouth football, physical, nasty football. To be able to play in whole season and be as productive as he was, the physical nature and have as many yards, that's impressive. That certainly is MVP worthy.
I just want to end with this because I'm passionate about this discussion, and I think we need to have this discussion, amongst the NFL circles. All right. I go back a couple weeks, Carolina game, I think it was Thursday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers threw for 143 yards, didn't do much, and they still won the game. Derrick Henry, he led his team to 11 wins. They don't have that amazing defense like they had last year. They have Derrick Henry. That's who they have. That's it. Derrick Henry won those 11 games on his back. That's how they got it done. So when you look at it, and I know it's a bigger discussion to break down individual games and seeing who impacted those games more, but that's just an illustration to show the significance of Derrick Henry on his team. We're talking about most valuable player, and then also Aaron Rodgers. Derrick Henry, he's one of 2. Aaron Rodgers is one of 20 guys that's done what he's done. So to me, we need to have that discussion, and we need to change our
Ryan
approach to
Westbrook
the
doesn't value
MVP.
running backs. That's the takeaway. No. Ryan Westbrook doesn't value running backs.
Moving on, it looks like it's going to be Trevor time in Jacksonville. Does that make the Jaguars the best of the 6 head coach openings? We'll discuss. Brian Westbrook, Little Brian, thank you both. On Thursday, don't miss a classic Big Ten Hoops showdown on FS1. All-American Tracy Jackson Davis leading Indiana against 8th-ranked Wisconsin. Thursday, 7 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. I paused for a while to say, go Badgers.
I like that.
Go Badgers.
But he didn't.
It'll be a good game.
Time now for stories to start your morning. Brought to you by Subway. Been a rough week for the New York Giants. Not only did they just miss out on the playoffs, but think about the way that all happened. Eagles benching Jalen Hurts for Nate Sudfeld. Only down 3 against Washington. Giants head coach Joe Judge was asked about it yesterday. Take a listen to this.
The sacrifices that they made to come into work every day and test before coming in, to sit in meetings spaced out, to wear masks, to have shields over those masks, to go through extensive protocols, to travel in unconventional ways, to get text messages at 6:30 in the morning telling them practice was going to be canceled. We have to do a virtual day. Okay, to tell them, please don't have your family over for Thanksgiving. Please avoid Christmas gatherings. We know it's your wife's birthday. Let's make sure we put that one off to the off season. There's a number of sacrifices been made by all the players and coaches in this league. There's a number of sacrifices that come along as well with the family members of the people connected to them. To disrespect the effort that everyone put forward to make this season a success for the National Football League, to disrespect the game by going out there and not competing for 60 minutes and doing everything you can to help those players win, we will never do that as long as I'm the head coach of the New York Giants.
Let's go.
There's a lot there, Nick.
Oh,
There's a lot there. All right, what was your reaction to Joe Judge's comments?
All right, first of all, I've been hard on Joe Judge a lot of the year, but I was totally unaware that his locker room, his team, his city, which is weird because I live in New York, was dealing with this very unique situation. I'm not sure that the COVID pandemic he's discussing, it clearly only affected the Giants. No other people, no other industries, no other teams, because, man, got to feel bad for them. They had to deal with all that. I can't imagine what that would have been like. No other team could have dealt with it. So there's that. So I get the point he's making. But more importantly, set that nonsense aside. Reality check, Joe Judge. If the Giants had made the playoffs, if Philly had made that game, the 2020 New York Giants would have been literally the worst team in NFL history to make the postseason. And that's not even considering the fact that they weren't even just 6-10. They were a bad 6-10. 2 other teams this year finished 6-10. You know what happened to both of them? Both of them, Dallas and San Francisco. Quarterbacks lost for the year. They at least had a mild excuse for being 6-10. Giants, pretty damn healthy. They just stunk. The only team who scored fewer points this year than the Giants, the Jets, who throughout most of the season we questioned if they even wanted to win football games. Those Giants' 6 wins, 5 of them came against the following starting quarterbacks. They got 3 against the Allen brothers, Kyle and Brandon. They got 1 against Carson Wentz and 1 against Andy Dalton. This is a terrible team. And the idea that they are now crying these elephant tears, is that the word? Different types of tears? Who cries big tears? Someone can help me with that. Crying these alligator tears. There we go. Thank you. These alligator tears because the Eagles didn't do what the Giants couldn't do, which is get them into the playoffs. It's laughable. And it's even more laughable, Wilds, that Joe Judge is acting like this is some indictment on the competitive nature of football, more so than the fact that he started his glorious coaching tenure by showing such a commitment to the competitive nature of football. He taped tennis balls to his hands and did slip and slides in the mud. I'm done with Joe Judge. It's enough. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. He's whining and crying because his team stunk. It's nonsense, Wilds.
Okay. For a few things. One, that's tactical, the slip and slide. Brandon at House of Athletes has a full-on mud pit to practice ball security, job security, full-on mud pit and a slip and slide they work on. It's in the back area. You got to pay extra for the membership. 2, as far as the Giants being healthy, tell that to Saquon Barkley. He's been sitting on his couch the whole year. 3, the reason why I like Joe Judge is this whole thing. I love the whole thing, Brandon. I thought it was multi-dimensional leadership. Multi-dimensional leadership, what is that? I made it up. Here's what he's doing. Leading up, the owners of the Giants are like, look at this guy. Look at this coach. And he's like, as long as I'm the head coach, like, you're going to be the head coach, buddy. Then he's leading sideways, too. The fans hear this on this side, like, oh, yeah, that's our coach. That was response of all Giants. That's my coach. That's my coach. And the media's like, oh, this guy's a tough guy. He's not just a special teams coach doing a Belichick impression. Media's like, this is the real guy. Lastly, managing the players on his own team and other players. You want to go play for a winner? Come to old Joe Judge. Yeah, we only won 6 games, but still. We have the hard-nosed football. You want to go to Doug Pederson, mailing it in Philadelphia a la Brett Brown. Brandon, if you were still playing, I know if I was still playing, I would want to play for Joe Judge. Would you?
Hell no. He is sending the wrong message. And I know there's a lot of people out there like, well, Brandon, what are you talking about? We're talking about the integrity of football, and we're talking about protecting the shields. Well, here's why. And it may go a little too deep for TV right now. But the first half of my career, I was considered a distraction, malcontent. I was, a knucklehead. And then I made this transformation the second half of my career where I was on the total opposite end of the spectrum. I was a guy that brought solutions. I was a leader. I was a guy that people came to me and said, Brandon, how did you do it? And it came down to one thing. And it's super simple, but it's hard for a lot of people. Control what you can control. And that's not only in sports,
personal accountability.
That's in life.
That's right.
100%.
That's right.
So when I hear Joe Judge stand up there, the reason why I'm saying it's a bad message is because what you're saying to the media, the guys upstairs, the guys in the locker room, you're saying our destiny lies in the Philadelphia Eagles' hands. And we play in a sport, and we do a job where we control our destiny. We hire our coaches. We bring on our players. We draft our players. We call the plays. So why are we going to be so concerned and so wrapped up with what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing? Now, there's validity behind some stuff where you're like, well, if their intentions were bad, then yeah, let's have that conversation. But who cares? I'm speaking to the New York Giants. I'm speaking to Joe Judge, Nick, where you control your own destiny, and you need to make sure that if this is this important to you, you win more than 6 games.
That's fair.
And by the way, it's not consistent with his own track record unless Joe Judge for 5 years held boiling anger towards Bill Belichick that he just concealed, because I'm old enough to remember the 2014 New England Patriots where Joe Judge was on that coaching staff. You know what they did midway through their Week 17 game against an 8-7 Buffalo Bills team? They benched Brady because they wanted to get a look at Jimmy Garoppolo. The Bills won that game, and it could have affected the playoff picture. So miss me with all of it. It's all revisionist history to make... What? Wilds. Sudfeld's on a roster. We cannot pretend that Nate Sudfeld was a contest winner. That they pulled him out of the stands. He's on a roster. Jenna, all he's got to say is this. My team was disappointed. And I told him, I hope this offseason that, Brandon, go.
Also, to build off of what you said earlier, 2017, I was in that locker room. You know what we did? We benched Eli Manning to get a look at Geno Smith. It's the same thing.
Yeah, of course.
So look, don't point.
Win one more game.
In the NFL.
What he says should have won one more game.
For Sudfeld. Undisputed starts right now. We got to go. We'll see you tomorrow.